Hi guys, Hayden from Mountain View Enterprises here in Australia. I'm the Yuneec importer down here. Just a quick video on how to import or how to get the uLog data or the log data out of your H520 for use in case of an incident, whether that be a flyaway, an accident, or just reporting for you've had a complaint saying that you flew somewhere where you shouldn't have but you didn't. So here's a quick video of how to actually get that. First of all, we're going to have to go to the internet and get a program called Q Ground Control. So if we bring up Chrome here and we'll type in qgroundcontrol.com, you're just going to download, I said, the and that did it again. So Q ground control, not ground control. So qgroundcontrol.com. Great. And you're just going to click on download. So it's a free program. System requirements are all there. Basically, here's the Q Ground Control installer for Windows, or scroll down. There is one for Mac and Linux if you're really that far advanced, and even one there for Android as well. But basically, I said once you've downloaded that installer, you're going to install it on your drive, and you'll end up with this. So let's just run it now. So while that's running, it's a good idea to get the factory USB cable that came with the H520. The reason being is because that cable is in fact a bi-directional syncing cable. So you're going to need that one. A standard micro or micro USB cable, a lot of those are only for charging. They'll only supply power to something, but they won't allow the data to come across. So what we need is the proper full sync cable. I'm actually using one here from an old external hard drive, so I know it's a syncing one, but ones used for just charging up a mobile phone generally aren't going to be good enough. If you use the one that came with your Typhoon H520, you won't have any of those issues, so that's a good one just to keep and mark off ready for use, such as this. Okay, you grab your craft here. You don't have a battery, you don't need to have a battery, okay? You don't have to have a battery in it. And what you're looking for is this little port down here in the back right hand corner. Okay, so you're going to plug your USB cable into it, making note that the flat surface goes away from the center of the craft so that the bubble side of the USB actually goes towards. Okay, and then once we've done that, plug it in. Now I've already done this before, so I can't actually show you what's going to be found or not found, but you can hear that the vehicle is being found in Windows. All right. Now, whether you can pick this up in the camera, but there's some flashing lights appearing in the back of the craft. No battery, flashing lights appearing. We're good. We're set. So I'm just going to set that aside for now. You can see across the top there, just like when you start up the data pilot program on your H520 or the ST16, you have that green line going across. All right. Now, okay, well, here's a mission I flew the other day for a demonstration. But what we want to do is actually disconnect from the disconnect from the actual craft, or come into here to this icon here, which is the logs file. Okay, so we're going to click on this one here. It's next to the paper aeroplane. It's called log download. Get rid of that error message and go to the far right and click on refresh. Now in there you're going to find all your log files that are on the actual aircraft. Okay, so we're going to go for let's go for this one down here. This is one I did for that mission you just saw there a minute ago. So we're going to download this one. So highlight it and click on download. It's going to bring up a folder location saying where you want to save it to. Okay, and I'm going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this new folder test demo. Okay, and what's important here is that you don't double click on that folder. Okay, what you want to do is just highlight the folder, So highlighting it there and then saying select. If you double click on the folder and try to do in here, there is actually no folder name selected. So make sure that you stay in the root of your, in this case, documents, Q ground control logs. Stay in the root, call the folder you want to, and then say select folder. Okay. Looking down the bottom here, you can see that that is now downloading. I tend to only do 5 or 10 at a time out of the actual card, so I wouldn't select all 53 in one hit. I'd do a group of 10 because I said if you do have a failure, you can see here that we're 1.4 meg into into this count up. But if we actually go into the documents folder, let's go in there and have a look. And we go to Q ground control, where are we? In here, and into logs, and into test demo. You can see here that it says it's 15.54 meg, but it's only copied across 3 meg. So if you do, say, all 53, and it collapses somewhere or it fails somewhere, it exits out or something, you're not going to know if it was successfully copied across or not, because the file size says it's been copied. The file size says 15.545 megabytes, which is the size it's supposed to be. But realistically, there's only 4.7 meg worth of data in there. Okay, so we just need to be careful of that when it copies over. That you are in fact actually getting the complete file and not partial files. So if I was going to download a lot more than the one, you can see here I can just select them by ticking on them individually. The other way is on the first one, and I think you can actually drag it. Yep, there you go, and select it. So that's how I would do multiples. But again, only do around about 10 or so at a time. Don't do the whole lot. All right, we're just going to pause it for a second, and while that's downloading, and I'll come straight back. Okay, and come back here. It's nearly finished here, so I'll just put it back on again. Pretty boring, but yeah, look, it's just downloading. So once it's finished completing downloading, here it is there. It will say downloaded. Okay, so I've now successfully downloaded that one. If I tab across here to my Explorer, see, still says 15.45. All right. Now, if I refresh that again, you'll notice that it still says available. It doesn't say downloaded. So again, another reason to be careful of what you in fact actually take at a time is that way you don't know what you've done. Okay, so by just doing little groups at a time, you're more likely to actually get that successful transfer versus going, oh, what have I done? What haven't I done? What's failed? What hasn't failed? Okay, so that's just my tip with using the log download. All right, so I'm just downloading a second smaller one here as well. While that's downloading, let's go back out to the aircraft. So we're going to click on the paper aeroplane back down here. And we've got our, this is a mission that I pre-planned up here before. So I'm just going to get rid of that mission. Okay, so let's go to File, and we're going to say Clear Vehicle Missions. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, great. So here's an aerial Google image of where we are and showing our terrain, altitudes, etc. as well. But we're going to go up here to File and click on Replay Flight Data. And you'll see down the bottom right hand corner here now we have the play button, a timer, and a replay flight data button. So this one here is pretty much, look, we can't use that in this program at the moment because what we've actually downloaded is the uLog file. So if we go into replay data, it says here you must close all connections to the aircraft before replaying the log. Okay, so in that case I need to come back out here to the aircraft, click on the aircraft, and click over here to say disconnect. I'm going to do that one. So I'm told. Oops. File, replay data. Oh, sorry, I've got the craft plugged in. Okay, there you go. So just disconnect the aircraft. Oh, sorry, I totally forgot that one. So clicking on replay flight data now, you can see here it's going to go back into your logs. You're going to go back to your test log here, and it doesn't know what to do, right? Because you've got these things here that are uLogs, not T-logs. So the T-log itself is from inside the controller. So if I was to connect the ST16 controller to it now, I'd be able to download the T-logs. All right, but we're not doing that. We need the uLogs. The uLogs are a lot more important. So once we download these uLogs now, what we need to do is go into back into Chrome, and we're going to go to a website which will be logs.px4.io, I think it is. Let's try this. Yep, great. So logs.px4.io. So in here we've got the description if we want to put one in. We can say home demo flight. Any additional feedback you want to give, any emails, don't have to. You've got here, will only be used to send you a link to the uploaded file. It's not stored on our servers. Okay, they say that about the email. It also is here, do you allow this log to be file to be used for statistical analysis? So if it's just your own one or for trial, that's fine. If it's for a customer or a client, you may not want to tick that. So choose the file, and we're just going to go into to the logs, test logs, and I'm just going to use the smaller of those two logs. I'm going to open that one up and upload. Okay. When you are once you've clicked on upload in Chrome, you'll see down the bottom here, you'll actually will get a counter. I'm pretty sure. Let's just wait to see if it appears here. Chrome or Firefox, they actually give you a counter to say that it's counting up. In other words, it actually is uploading. Because half the time, particularly I said in IE, you can't actually tell it's doing anything. You don't know if it's locked up or frozen and stuff because it doesn't give you that little counter. Because it's such a small file, it wasn't a big issue. But if it was a large file, which the other one was 15 meg versus 2, and some are 45 or 60 meg, depending on how long you're flying for, it could be an issue. So using Chrome or Firefox, it generally shows you how long you've got to do in the uploads. All right, so here it is here, the flight review. You can see here it's given me bits of information here about the average speed, the horizontal speeds, maximum speed down of 22.8 kilometers per hour, tilt angles, the vehicle life flight time. So I've had this vehicle flying for a total of 3 hours, 7 minutes and 45 seconds since I've had it. When did the logging start? How long did it go for? In the SD16S, you have the option of starting logs even if you don't arm the motors. I tend to do that to show that maybe I did a calibration first, or maybe I was doing this before. It does increase your log size, but at least, again, it gives you more, call it ammunition, to show that you had been doing the right thing when you got to site. And if there was an accident, look, I calibrated, I did everything I was meant to do. So enabling that in the settings to say start log, even if you don't arm the motors, will increase the file size, but it gives you that bit more, I guess, surety of knowing, of allowing other people to know exactly what you did. All right, so let's scroll down here. So here's the quick flight path we did. It was just a demo test to see how the aircraft was working. You see, you can zoom in on here. The other thing you can do in here is actually plot these out. You can save those files off. So this is a case where you could show a customer who maybe was in this house here and say, mate, I didn't fly over top of you, or I went on an easement down beside you, or if these are the two blocks of land here, and this guy here saying, oh look, you flew in top of me. No, I didn't. He says, well, show us your logs. Well, you actually did. then you could be in trouble, all right? So it really comes down to your local laws about what you're going to do with that. But at least I said, if someone accuses you of something you definitely didn't do, here's a way of showing this is exactly what the aircraft did. This is exactly where it was. It took off from here. It landed here. I travelled at this pace, at this height, and yeah, you've got proof of it. Okay, so here's also the altitude, approximate altitudes. So the current position where I am on this property is about 228 meters above sea level, and we rose up to just on 250. Okay. The roll angle here, so the estimated roll, the actual roll, you can zoom in and out on that, tells you exactly how long. So for the 8.5 minutes that we're flying there, or 8 minutes 5 seconds I should say. What do we got next one? So the roll angular, the pitch angle rate, the yaw rate. So you can see here there's a lot of information in here. You know, your Y position in the sky up and down, your local Z position, your velocities, your speeds. So there is everything that you need to diagnose any issues is basically in here. So if you have a problem, this is the first file that Yuneec is going to ask for, or your reseller is going to ask for, or the repair agent stuff is going to ask for. Everything from, here's your battery voltage, okay, so when I started to the amperage, to the actual voltage, to the discharge amount, etc. You know, everything is in there to say that, yeah, look, I did start off at you know, just under 14.8, and where are they? Yeah, so there it is there, 14.8, and then I was flying along, and then obviously when I took off up into the sky, I was hovering to that point there. I've taken off and the batteries dipped down, but then recovered and then slowly gone down and back up again, depending on temperature and various different things. But if you had a fault in the battery where, you know, you're flying along, you've just put a brand new battery and it's 100%, and all of a sudden now it's down to 40%, it's going to show up in here. And that's a case where if it is a brand new battery, you could take that back to your supplier and say, look, you know, this is what it's doing, what can you do about it? RC quality. So the remote control was lost there for a second, looks like it, but it was obviously refound. I had a case where, and I think it was this actual drone, I stopped flying it, the RSSI was 0. I couldn't actually get a value for it. So that means you can't take off. So if your radio signal strength indicator on the ST16 up the top in the middle it is, if you click on that it will say RSSI is 0, you can't take off. So in here it would show again that that was a 0 value for that flight, or in this case it's not for that flight because I was never able to arm the aircraft. So if I had enabled the always record data, even if I don't arm the props, then I would see my RSSI was 0, and that's one reason why I couldn't actually arm the aircraft. But this one was a successful flight, so it was able to arm. My CPU and RAM in the aircraft, oops, keep doing the wrong thing. Sampling rate, let's keep going down. You can see I said that, you know, there is a lot of information. All right. Then you get some other non-default parameters, you know, stuff that they haven't basically given graphs for. You know, a lot of information in there. And if you keep going down, you have even show additional data, even more. And down in here are some of the other processes of the pre-flight. Okay, what did I do? You know, my post-flight, what happened there? Performances, again post-flight as well, more events. So a lot more information there for us as service agents to look in and say what the customer said happened, or what the customer said happened, look, it really didn't happen, and this is going to show you. Okay, so it's really important that the aircraft is recovered, so that this information can come to light, because this is going to be your best defense for saying, look, I was doing everything right, and the aircraft didn't do what I told it to do. Okay. The other thing you can actually do in here, but I don't have it installed, is you can actually, I think, output that to Google Earth, and you can actually see the 3D view of that flight as well. But I don't have that installed on here. So that's basically it for the uLogs. The T-logs, different story. The T-logs are the ones from the transmitter. The uLogs, or I like to call them the ultimate logs, they're the ones that are in the top of the H520. Also the H Plus, look, it's exactly the same process I just showed you here for the H Plus and the H520. Plug it in with Q ground control and just going up here to the logs and hitting refresh, and you'll get them down there. Okay, nothing's plugged in because I've unplugged the cable for the drone. All right, so thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.